我8个月前开始学习中文，虽然我很爱学习汉语，我也讨厌某些难的事情。And by saying I love studying Chinese, I mean it. Since I started, I literally studied every single day.
I don't take any days off.
However, I repeatedly stumbled over certain obstacles that I'm going to share with you now. First of all, sentence structure. In the beginning, it is often taught that Chinese follows a very easy sentence structure of subject, verb, object. And this is true for the very easy cases like 我爱你, I love you, 我爱你. However, if you immerse yourself a bit further into it, you'll be hit by very long, weird, complicated sentences. For instance, I would like to quote this one, 我真是想起来就肚子直叫. And it literally means, I really, when start to think of, then my stomach straight out calls out. And now what could it possibly mean? Please tell me. The translation, the meaning of the sentence is, when I just think about it, my stomach growls. Okay, but why is it written in such a weird way? Another example is, 我最好的朋友去国外去近已有3年了. And it literally, word by word, translates to, my best friend went abroad. Distance from today already has 3 years. And of course, you can put it together what it means. It has been 3 years since my best friend went abroad. I always notice this when I read certain sentences in Chinese, like the ones I just showed you, and I think I would never form them in that same way if I would have to say them out. And this is what makes speaking so difficult to me. I guess I have to accept that certain concepts are still a bit too difficult for me, and I have to keep to the lower stuff first. And often it's not that bad. It's just that these are unknown fixed phrases. Even though you guys know I'm very much against books, I am using a few books which teach these fixed phrases. It's not really like a grammar explanation. It's a very good source of getting input in that language. They just state this word structure here is a fixed phrase and translates to this, and then you just have heaps of example sentences. And this is what helps me to build it up gradually. Secondly, tone changing rules. In Chinese, if you have 2 syllables with the third tone in a row, then the first syllable changes into a second, a rising tone. For example, in the phrase 你好, the both words are actually a third tone, 你, you, and 好, you. So 你好 means something like you're good, aka hello. So it becomes 你好, just so that it can be said quicker and in a smooth way. It's easy for fixed phrases like 我想, I want. You use this fixed phrase a lot. Or 很好, very good. But often you have 4, 5 characters with a third tone in a row, and you get something like this. And whenever I read sentences aloud, and I see something like this, I stumble over it because it stops me from reading it out in one go. Because I have to think first, wait a sec. How do I change this tone now, and how do I read it out in one go? And it stops me from reading it fluently. For example, with this sentence here, it's not 我很想有很多朋友, because it would be too slow. Instead, it changes into 我很想有很多朋友. I want many friends. Well, actually, I don't want to, but this is a good example. This is also something that is totally natural for natives. And often I ask my friends, how do I read this sentence? Where do I change the tones? Because I think there are a few different ways of changing the tones. It's not always 我很好, but it can also be 我很好. Anyway, I ask my friends, and very often they don't even know that anything changes at all. They just read it out and they do it automatically. But for me, it's not natural. Thirdly, measure words. It's equal to what we say in English, a pair of shoes or a pair of scissors. And pair is like a measure word. In Chinese, you can't just say 5 cats, like 五猫. You always have a measure word in between the number 5 and the word that is quantified, cats. For instance, 本 is a measure word for books. 我有3本书, 3 本 is a measure word, and 书 books. You can't just say 我有3书, it's just wrong. Another measure word is 片, which literally means slice, so it's used for things that come as a slice, like 一片面包 slice of bread. Last example, tiao, which literally means strip and is used for long and narrow things such as 一条鱼, fish, or even 这条路, street, which is also thin and narrow. I guess animals mostly use the measure word 日, but even there, animals have different measure words. Now, the most common measure word is 个, like 一个人, 一个名字, and I think in the worst case, you can just use it for any countable word if you don't know the right measure word, even though it makes you sound very stupid. It would be like saying, I need a pair of toothbrush, instead of I need a tube of toothbrush. Another point that I find very annoying is that one character can have dozens of meanings, such as 行. And why it's difficult is because when it is used in compound words and it has another meaning than the meaning I have learned, I learned 行 as can do, like capable of doing something. But then I see words like 行为, which means behavior, and 行 can also mean behavior, as you can see in the list, or 行人, pedestrian. But behavior, can do, 行人, why does it mean pedestrian? Well, because it can also mean to walk, and then it starts to make sense. Of course, every language contains words that have lots of meanings, but I noticed in Chinese, one character can have easily over 10 different meanings. And I mean it, very different meanings. Lastly, what I dislike about studying characters is the fact that you have characters with different pronunciations and thereby different meanings. Common examples are 长, which means long, and 长, which translates to grow, or 相, mutual, and 像, to look like, or appearance. These are examples I got used to already, but often when I see a new learned character in a sentence that is pronounced in a different way from I have learned, it is very confusing. It is so because I always create an individual mnemonic for every character, but then all of a sudden it also has another pronunciation and another meaning, so I have to create a new mnemonic for it. As a conclusion, I want to say that every language out there contains certain key points that appear very strange and unnecessary to us learners, while they are very natural for the native speakers. And so with enough exposure, it shall also become natural to us. And so I wish you all good fun and success on your language learning journey. Alright, bye bye. 再见.